An entire month of Project Cars 2 videos has led up to this. Welcome, I am David Land, and today we are doing a 1-hour endurance race for the 2018 Rolex 24 Daytona. This is the car I have chosen to take part in this historic event with. It is a Ligier chassis with a Judd powered engine. Now, a lot of people guessed and suggested as well that I would drive a Ligier because, of course, Fernando Alonso is driving a Ligier in this year's Rolex 24. But as you may be able to see, longtime viewers and fans of my channel, why I have chosen this particular car. No, it's not because I'm suddenly a part of a super cool esports team. It's because this Ligier is number 91, and of course, number 91 is the number of my all-time favorite racing driver, Buddy Ligier. So I'll be taking Buddy Ligier with me over this simulation of the Rolex 24 Daytona. So like I said, hour-long race. Probably going to have a pit stop in this. I could not manually force a mandatory pit stop, which made me assume that a pit stop's going to be mandatory for at least some of the field. We're going to see how long we can stretch it on fuel. I might play a bit of a strategy game, come in the middle of the race without having to kind of stretch it to the end. It's going to be a very interesting race in terms of strategy. 3 classes of competition: GT3, GTE, and then P2. Of course, P2 is what I'm driving in. And the pit stops and the length of the race is going to mean we're going to be coming through traffic quite a bit. It's kind of funny as well. It seems the Ligier-Judd is kind of the hot ticket around Daytona. I'm able to do 1 minute 38 lap times pretty easily in this car, which is blisteringly faster on here. I've had to turn the AI all the way up to 120%. I guess I'm a good P2 driver because this is a very well-balanced car. It's fast in the banking. It's got everything I kind of want. We're also going to be racing kind of the main competition in this race are going to be the other Ligiers powered by the other engines available in this game. One of the cars is a Honda-powered car, the other is a Nissan-powered car. So it's going to be interesting to see that battle of the Ligiers in the P2 category. So no more waiting around. Let's get to an hour-long endurance race. This is going to be exciting and a bit daunting. So we did get the pole position. Just able to qualify ahead of some of the other Ligiers. We've got quite a grid behind us, but I think these prototypes are quite fast here as we come down for the green flag, and we're underway at Daytona. Getting a nice jump on the Ligier ahead of us. Got to be careful here in turn 1. I'm a little bit worried about them running into the back of me, but we make it safely through the first corner, side by side with the Ligier Honda next to me. I got on the curb there. Honda-powered Ligier still looking to the inside around the International Horseshoe for the first time. And we clear him. The Nissan Ligier is now in 3rd place, so Ligier, top 3. I have a full load of fuel on board. The game thinks I'm going to make it 14 laps on 75 liters. I think it's full of crap, to be honest with you, but we'll find out. Because of that, I kind of couldn't really set a pit strategy, so I'm going to have to kind of do it on the fly through the menu. So we've got a couple of Ligiers side by side behind as we work through the banking for the first time. The Nissan-powered Ligier moves past the Honda-powered Ligier, so the Judd leads the Nissan, leads the Honda. The International Horseshoe. The bus stop. How many races hit the Daytona road course have you run so far, David? The Honda is back through past the Nissan, so into 2nd place goes that car. And now through the banking once again. Here's something I did do. Since you can't do a 24 times accelerated race, I had to go to 25%. So I decided to start the race at 1 o'clock rather than 2 o'clock, so when we get around to the end of the race, it won't be getting dark again when we finish her up. So we have got a pretty sizable lead so far in the Rolex 24. It's almost as if practice makes perfect. We've been practicing quite a bit, but that Nissan-powered Ligier, which is finally past the Honda, is suddenly starting to come. So we got to be careful not to allow too much of our lead to go away here. Obviously, we don't need to be racing too hard, but at the same time, we don't want to give up a big lead just because we're going to try to play it conservative. We come onto the banking once again. Now what's cool about this Ligier, you may notice in the left-hand corner of the cockpit, you can see that green bar. That's actually my fuel load. So I won't have to bring up the mini menus too much during this race, hopefully. I'll be able to tell when I'm close on fuel and when I'll need to come into the pits. I'm not expecting tire wear to be a big issue in this race. I am running the soft compound of tires, but generally speaking, at a track like Daytona, where there's a lot of straightaways, you're not going to be worrying too much about tire wear throughout the course of the event. So I think I'm going to be able to double stint these. I think this car is shod with Pirellis, so I'll be able to double stint my Pirellis pretty much no problem if we need to do that, depending on whether or not we need to come into the pits. Get down into second gear, catch that apex, and shooting off of turn one. It's funny, when everybody's full of fuel, definitely changes the complexion of the race, even though the Ligiers are able to hang on to the back of me, definitely through this section. Because like I said, I like to run as little downforce as possible. I've actually got my kind of baseline aerodynamic setup on this car, which is no downforce on the front and just clicks, 2 clicks on the rear. Notice that the Nissan's starting to get pretty close. I'm seeing the position indicator in the rear of me. And yeah, he definitely made up some time through the second horseshoe. And now we'll start to pull away here on the banking, hopefully anyway. You never know. We work down the oval back straightaway. No inclement weather expected. So it's going to be clear sailing for the whole hour here. No rain. Because if there is rain, that'll just add pit stops and possibly create too wacky of a race. I'm still expecting this to be pretty wacky, especially when we get to the GT3 cars, which are putting around here. And it looks like the Nissan-powered Ligier is starting to leave the Honda-powered Ligier. We lock up the brakes a little bit going into turn one. These P2 cars have ABS and traction control, but they're not really, let's just say they're not quite the kind you'd have in your mom's Prius. They're a bit more hardcore than that, if you can call ABS and traction control hardcore. I think that Nissan-powered Ligier is still there. Oh yeah, he's definitely there. No easy to read rearview mirror in this car, though. That's the one kind of complaint I have about it. The visibility isn't all that great to begin with in a closed cockpit prototype, especially a modern one. I didn't have any trouble in that in the Nissan GTP car, but in my Ligier-Judd, you can just see how small the windscreen is. So we're still gapping the Nissan-powered Ligier on the banking, and that's what we need to be doing. I'm taking it pretty easy through the bus stop as well. In qualifying, I was really hanging it out, really downshifting quite quickly, and kind of revving the engine up to slow the car down. Don't need to do that here. We're just hanging on to it. You know, again, this is an endurance race, and I'm going to drive it like an endurance race, as we really did pull away from the Nissan there through the banking. Again, locking out the brakes in turn one, so I need to start braking a little bit earlier, because I'm sliding out and I'm losing time. And if I could just get through turn one clean, I think I could really put some gap on the Nissan. Ironically, Nissan and Honda are both in the new prototype category in the form of Extreme Speed Patron with their GTR DPI, and then Penske with the Honda Acura ARX, which has the NSX engine in it from the GT3 car, which is just kind of interesting. So kind of realistic. I kind of have the generic Judd engine. The interesting thing about the Judd engine is while it's kind of unbadged, it's produced by obviously the Judd engine company, it's actually based on a BMW engine. Which is why it was still allowed to be in the P2 class up until the last couple of years when they've gone to the spec Gibson power plant, because it was technically still based on a production engine, even though it was the Judd is really a thoroughbred racing power plant. Well, the sun's starting to set and we're still holding out in front of the Nissan. Not as far out in front as I'd like to be. Definitely got through turn 1 a little bit better that time. And like I noticed in the GTE and GT3 videos, and indeed pretty much all these 24-hour simulations, the AI seem to come alive when we get into the nighttime. They seem to like the cool conditions. Got the Nissan coming up behind me. Put that apex curbing right there on the last corner of the banking. I'll tell you, this car is so nice to drive. I love driving it. I've always loved P2 cars. I can kind of blame them for getting me invested in sports car racing in the first place. The Penske Porsche RS Spyders, the Andretti Green, the Farron Motorsports and Fernandez Racing ARX 01s. Those were some cool cars. And I've always loved driving them in video games as well. Forza Motorsport, those P2 cars were the reason I got into Forza Motorsport. And I could set some blistering fast times in the RS Spider at Road Atlanta in Forza. And here at Daytona in a Ligier, years, almost 10 years since Forza 3 came out, if you can believe it. Still driving P2 cars. They just kind of fit my driving style. Like I've mentioned a few times before, I love to drive with a lot of grip. I know it makes me sound like a bit of a wanker. But I love having the downforce. I love being able to pitch the car into the corner. And just, know that it's going to stick. It's a wonderful feeling. Gives you a lot of confidence. Headlights flicker on. We're starting to get into the dusk hours here at Daytona, and that Nissan is all over the back of me. We've really put the Honda away. He must be running a bit of a economy run or a conservation run. That Nissan is staying around me. That doesn't make me too thrilled, considering we're about to find the AI's happy hours, as everything's going to get dark here, and it's scary. We're not expecting any fog. It's going to get a bit hazy in the nighttime, but it shouldn't be foggy. I considered making fog, but I don't know. I didn't really like it all that much when it was foggy the last time we did a Daytona race. There is a car in the pits down there.
Good pace, very consistent driving. Let's try and build the gap. Keep pushing.
Don't know what class that car was from. Possibly GT3 or GTD. I guess we'll find out when we lap him. Possible one of the cars got pushed into the pit lane barrier. We've seen that happen numerous times during the course of these Daytona videos. Especially when the cars are all bunched together, that really happens a lot. A little bit of a too late on the brakes there. Nissan kind of getting close. Not quite, though. He's still right back there, though. You know what I forgot to do? And I might do it when we take the pit stop. But I forgot to turn on the spotter. Now, I know the... I don't know if I'm going to reveal... I'll reveal it, because he revealed in the comments. But the guy who actually voiced the spotter in Project Cars 2 actually watches my videos. And I'm sorry, bud, that I couldn't get you in this one. I remembered to turn it on for the Continental Tire race, but I've forgotten to do it for all the kind of real Rolex 24s. And I'm sorry that you're not going to be featured in this one, at least for now. But yeah, that's kind of just a weird fact. the spotter in Project Cars 2, and presumably one of the developers. I need to ask you what exactly your role is in Slightly Mad Studios. And can I test the next game? But anyway, yeah. So shout out to him. I'll pin his comment if he makes a comment in this video. Unless he doesn't want to have people subscribing to him on YouTube. You never know. But anyway, we are locking up the brakes and getting a little bit close for comfort with our Nissan-powered Ligier cousin. So he makes a little bit of a move there, but couldn't quite get there. He's still sitting pretty right behind me, but he's not quite close enough to make a move. It's kind of nice. I definitely have the straight line speed advantage over the rest of the prototypes. Unlike in that Ferrari I ran in GTLM, which really didn't have the legs on the straightaway. And anytime I got a bad exit off of that final corner before the banking, I was just done. I was toast. They were going to draft around me. Some of the Ford GT, the Corvette, pretty much everything I was racing against in that class, in that race, had better top speed than I did. And they would just blow my doors off in the straightaways.
Try and fill down that gap.
So through turn one, nice and clean. I'm starting to see the headlights on the banking from the GT cars, so we're probably about 10 minutes away from lapping some of the front runners in those classes. Probably less time to lap the back markers. That was pretty poor through there, I'll be honest. I was kind of slow. Definitely the best I've gotten through that final corner, though, in a while. I didn't slide the car at all. What I should do, while I've got a moment, is actually adjust the strategy here so that we can get some pit stop when if we have to come into the pits. We'll be able to make the stop. Come down the gears. See, now it's giving me an accurate reading. It says 44 liters will get me 13 laps. So it just wasn't giving me an accurate reading on the actual strategy board. So we're going to go safe. We're going to go 23 laps or 24 laps from now. I think that'll be more than enough. We're not even at half a tank yet. And looking at my time in the race so far, at least on my capture card, we're about 15-20 minutes in. We still got 40 minutes to go. Quite a long ways, well over half the race. But we're doing pretty well on fuel. I was smart, I'd lean the engine out rather than running it full rich, but I kind of like to keep the lead from the Nissan Ligier if I can. So that's what we're going to try to do. Come in and out of the second horseshoe, slid the car a little bit on the exit. I feel like I'm driving too conservatively into that corner. And I'm actually paying for it a bit on the exit. Boy, he is just hounding me. This Nissan prototype might as well be attached by a tow rope to the back of my Ligier. It's kind of a Ligier train, if you will, all the way around Daytona. He hasn't really gotten close enough to make a move. And if anything to say about it I have, to quote Yoda from prequels, he won't, because we're gonna try to hold out in front of him as best we can. Because leading is always a good thing. It's never a bad thing. We are definitely in the middle of the night here, though, at Daytona. It is dark and dark and dark. This is the most you guys are going to really see of the darkness, though. Kind of interesting, in those 25% races, everything seems to go so fast with the time change. Did I say 25%? I should have said 25-minute races. 25% would be 6 hours, but yeah, those 25-minute races, it's definitely everything. All the weather changes happen so very quickly. You kind of can't really appreciate them as they're happening. Like sunset and sunrise are like a minute, and you just can't appreciate it when that's going on. Ooh, I felt like whoop, yep, I made a mistake. The Nissan Ligier, he pounced. I made a mistake and he pounced. He's around me. So we got to use a straight line speed, get back around him. Come on, Judd. You can do it. And we clear the Nissan, so you can just see the straight line speed of this Ligier, the setup I have on it. Setup was done by me. I did not consult anyone else on the setup. So just call me AJ Foyt. I hammered on my own car.
Extended your lead to 1 second. Good job.
And wow, I really gapped him in the bus stop there. I think I kind of maybe brake checked him a little bit. Not really brake checked him. I just kind of went in at the speed that I usually go into the bus stop. And the AI kind of fly into the bus stop as fast as they possibly can. So yeah, it just kind of worked out that way. Starting to make mistakes. That was way too wide in turn one. Way too wide. We're about at half a fuel tank now. I haven't heard the race engineer say 30 minutes to go. So we're not quite halfway. In the Rolex 1. Way too wide again, and here comes the Nissan almost got to the inside of me again. I'm starting to just lose the car in the middle of the corner, and it slides out, and man, the Nissan just keeps pouncing. It keeps pouncing. I don't like it. Too much pouncing. And I am starting to see that those GT cars really starting to get there on the banking. I can see those headlights, so we're going to be up in them. They're working through traffic. It's potentially going to be a pain. Man, it's awful dark down here in the bus stop this time of night. That dang windshield wiper kind of made it difficult for me to see where I was going there. It's kind of pointed right at the apex of the corner. Again, the Nissan falling back a little bit, as it usually does in the bus stop. We're at half a fuel tank at the moment. I need to start braking earlier. I think my tires are wearing a bit. That's making it so that my braking quite as precise as it once was. And of course, it's much colder in the middle of the night as I shifted up 2 gears rather than 1 gear. Smart move, David. But it definitely makes that whole grip thing a bit more difficult. Of course, that probably means that tire wear isn't too bad at the moment. In fact, let's just take a look, just as a curiosity. Yeah, you can see the tires are pretty blue, which means they're pretty cold at the moment, but the wear isn't all that bad. So they're just getting cold, just cold tires in the night. Nothing too concerning, just means I have to drive a little bit easier. Or, I guess, get on the brakes a little bit earlier going into the corners, not necessarily drive easier, just get the car sped down a little bit more quickly, kind of roll the car into the corners rather than, you know, brake and steer and trail brake and all that stuff. So as we go through the banking, another car in the pits down there. Hard to see. Exactly what car from what class that was. Probably a GT car. There's definitely a GT car on the other side of the horseshoe here. So we'll be making friends pretty shortly. Come up through the gears. Yeah, there's 2 GT cars over there. So yeah, we're definitely going to be coming up behind the GT3 field. A little wide there, a little wide. Out of the second horseshoe. Got second gear. A little bit of sliding. The Nissan all over the back of me again, and then we pull away as we pull on the banking. Not too bad, not too bad. And around the banking we go. Where we stop, nobody knows. Oh wait, I know. It's going to be an hour from now. Or less than an hour from now. I was super slow into the banking, or into the chicane, but it doesn't really matter. Definitely, again, seeing that GT headlight up there. It's going to be interesting to see which is the first of the GT cars we ended up lapping, and also how close the GT3 cars and the GTE cars are on the track. I noticed in qualifying, some of the GT3 cars actually out-qualified the GTE cars in qualifying, so you would assume it's possible that there's GT3 and GTE cars mixing it up together in the middle of the pack, which means when we come upon them, there will be 3 cars going 3 different speeds and making their lap times in 3 different places on the track. And it's another thing about driving these prototypes, a P2 car doesn't quite have the power of a P1 car. What that causes is that when you get up to your top speed as a P2 car, the GT cars can reach that speed too, about 185 miles an hour, which, of course, if you've been paying attention to my other 2 videos with the GTE Pro cars and the GT3 cars, I was topping out about 185. Well, this car, 185. Everybody at 185, all at the top end of the straightaway, and then it comes down to braking. And then, of course, you've got to consider that the GTE cars don't have ABS. They just have traction control. GT3 cars have traction control and ABS. And, of course, the P2 cars have the same thing as the GT3 cars, ABS and traction control. The reason I say all that is because it makes it very clustery when you get into the braking zones. So, here we go. We're going to find out who the back markers are. Man, we have got a big lead on the Nissan. So, more cars in the pits. Not sure who that is. Possibly a GTE car, it looked almost like. And the back markers just ran into each other there. So we're going to be very careful here. Looks like a Cadillac and possibly the Turner Motorsports BMW which is actually a real-life GTD car in IMSA. So we got a little bit of realism with the liveries today. It's always lucky to get that. You come by the Ferris wheel to the inside of the Cadillac, which doesn't race in IMSA, in fact doesn't race at all in the world anymore. Did race in the Pirelli World Challenge, but not anymore. He's going to sneak to the inside because he's not a nice GT driver. So we got around him. I don't know if the Nissan prototype got blocked in behind the Turner Motorsports car. This is where things get quite interesting. Up onto the banking. Where are you going, sir? Okay, he's going to the inside. We will pass the Turner Motorsports BMW, and that Nissan still there. Block him, block him, block him, please. Please, I have a BMW-ish engine in my car. Please block him. He didn't block him. Oh, well. Screw it. Get down here into the chicane. Now, this is where I don't want to catch a GT car. For the love of God, I don't want to catch him in the bus stop. That is just the worst place possible. I caught a few of them in the bus stop during qualifying and practice, and I'll tell you, the prototypes are slow off the chicane, and into the pits comes the Nissan. Did he have contact with a GT car?
He is 5 seconds behind. He's there.
Possible. Was there contact in the traffic, or is he just coming in for fuel? Because I'm looking at my gauge, and it's looking like we are going to have to make a stop before the end of this event. So what I am a little bit worried about, I almost need to come into the pits now to prevent the undercut, but I almost want to stay out, try to stretch it a little bit longer. Because by stretching it, I can have a shorter pit stop when it comes down to it. But certainly possible that if the Nissan Ligier runs around this track more or less unimpaired by the GT cars, he could run fast enough lap times that he could pass me when we get in the pits, because it just depends. It just depends if he's taking tires, if he needed to do repairs, so many things in this kind of endurance racing, as I just drive through the bus stop about as slow as grandma. That wasn't particularly amazing. This may be a GTE car up here. I don't know. We're going to find out. Maybe it's a BMW. I think it may be a BMW Z4 or Z4. Actually, it's funny. I actually use Z4 more than I use Z4 when I describe that type of BMW. And no, it is a German car, but it's a Mercedes. Oh, jeez Louise, dude. Well, that guy is definitely not a regular to American racing, because that was poor oval track driving by him. Or as Nicky Lauda says, Mercedes. Mercedes team did so well today. I'm very happy with Nico and Lewis. They did a great job for a team. Great team win. Lewis. Okay, I'm gonna stop saying that. That's what Nicky Lauda sounds like. Is that a decent Nicky Lauda impression? Yeah, let me know in the comments. That'll also let me know if you've watched to this point in the video, which is an accomplishment in and of itself. So more GT cars up here, possibly the front of the GT3 grid, possibly even the back of the GT, or the front of the GT3 grid, back of the GTE grid. We'll see when we get up here. Down here nice and easy, again into the chicane, boom, nice apex. So we've got a Renault, I think that's a Renault, and then it's another car with yellow headlights, so definitely means it's probably an IMSA car, or a car that races against prototypes regularly, because the reason you have the orange lights is to differentiate GT cars from the prototypes. Yes, it is a GTE car, GTE BMW. Now I'm going to be very careful coming down here, because I know those GTE cars are very late on the brakes when they go into that first corner, as we found out in the last video. So this is not going to be the place to pass this GTE car. And of course, they have those Michelin tires, which are a pain in the butt. But he's very slow off of the corner. Oh, come on. See me, see me, see me, see me, see me. Thank you, GTE car. You were somewhat nice to me. Get down. Well, almost went a little too wide out of that hairpin. Down to second gear. And I did see more headlights of another GT car, but he's quite a ways up the road, and in fact, we may not even catch him before we get to pit stops. You can just see how much gap I was able to pull between myself and that GTLM car, or GTE car, between the where I passed him in the inner loop and the banking. These prototypes, where they really make up their lap time is that mid-corner speed, the corner exit speed, and the acceleration down the straight. These things are just beasts sometimes. So as we come around turn number 4 of the oval, I am still seeing those headlights in the distance. So we're not quite there yet. Another car in the pits. Down there. Not, again, sure who that could possibly be. Could be a prototype. The prototypes, of course, as we know, the Nissan came into the pits already. So there could be prototypes that I've now put a lap down because they were already kind of behind the race as it was, and they're also in the pits. So through the kink, which is pretty easy in the dry in a PE2 car, not gonna lie. It's a nice change of pace from having it be a slidey car through there. Never fun. Never fun. Down to second gear. Probably got in there a little too easily. And back out onto the banking we go. Don't even know how many laps we've done. Probably about 20. I'm not going to check. Because checking is for losers. The oval back straightaway again, still seeing a ton of headlights out in front of me. Coming up through the gears. I do like the Judd engine as well, not just because it's kind of a private entry, but I think it's the best sounding of the prototypes in real life, and or at least the best sounding of this kind of era of P2 cars. It's kind of got that V8 scream that the Nissan, which, while it was a V8, didn't quite have. And that is a P2 car coming out of the pits. So we are going to have prototype traffic to deal with, in addition to the GTs. Wonderful. Now we're really going to see this multi-class racing coming into effect. Now this prototype can really hold me up because he's going to make lap time in the same place as I'm making it. And if we both catch those GT cars at the same time, Katie, bar the door because it's going to be crazy. Did not get through the second horseshoe very well there either, which is not helpful. But hopefully, since that's a Merrick, and the American RWD or rear-wheel drive prototypes, which are Project Cars 2 specials, have been especially nerfed in this game. They're quite slow in relation to the real prototypes, but that didn't stop me from trying to tune a Merrick or an RWD, and I might actually use it in the online stream when I host some multi-class racing on Friday, or at least on the Friday after I record this. Obviously, if you're watching this in July, and you've gotten to this point in the video, first of all, congratulations. And second of all, yeah, that'll already be recorded. But I'm considering using an RWD when I try the prototype class, just to try to see if I can win with it online. That'd be interesting. for comparison, I can do almost a 137, 136 in this car in like perfect conditions. Obviously not like the winter time, like this race takes place in. But like in the summer at Daytona, when the track is a little bit warmer and the fuel load is nice and light, I can do a 35 or a 36, 37 in this car. For comparison's purposes, in the RWD I can do about 38, 39, and that's about as fast as I can get that thing to go, and that is pushing like the dickens. So about 2 seconds off the pace between that car and this car, in the hands of the same driver, with kind of setups for the same kind of driving style. You just see the gap I put between myself and that Merrick prototype, just kind of driving my point home about the disparity between the real-life prototypes and the Project Cars 2 specials. So we jump off the curbs there, back out onto the banking. Probably going to have to come into the pits in the next couple laps. It's not a big concern yet, but we are going to have to make that stop. And I think the car directly ahead of me is actually another prototype, which would explain why it's taken me so long to get up to lap in the first place. It's possible the car before him, there's actually two in front of me. Looks like we may have a prototype and a GTLM car, which will make things interesting. There's a lot of headlights around here, actually. And maybe two prototypes, in fact. That possibly, the second car ahead of me is possibly the Honda-powered Ligier, which started on the front row of the grid. No, I'm wrong. I'm dead wrong. I don't know what car that is, but it's definitely not the Honda Ligier. I can tell from the brake lights. And we're starting to see red on the fuel. So I've got to think about this real thoroughly. Okay, we got 8.5 liters in the tank. Do we bring it in? How many laps have we done as well? Let's take a look at that. Can we take a look at that? Oh, lap 24. We've done 24 laps in 40 minutes, so yeah, we'll be coming in this time. Careful here in traffic, because I'm not going to really have to worry about it. Coming up behind the Cadillac, passing the Cadillac. Just to be safe, rather than sorry, we're going to come in on this lap. We're going to go drive around the outside of the RWD, the car I was just talking about, and the car I was trying to tune. So here we come into the pits. Going to get this up so I can see what my pit speed is. Get the speed nice and down. Probably went a little too easy into the pits. And here we come. Making a pit stop. Crew over the wall. I forgot to request the pit stop, so I hope they don't go too slow. Into the pits we go. And fuel only. Fuel only. Shouldn't, well, they're going to repair the car. Hopefully it's not too much of a repair job here. Waiting on the fuel. You can see they are Pirelli tires. Boy, this is a long stop. Ooh, these sports car stops are so long. It's so long. God almighty, I hope. Repair job, for whatever reason. I guess there's damage somewhere on the car. Alright, don't stall it, David. There we go. Okay, not too bad. We got out of there. The pit crew did a good job. Ferrari GTE car coming around me on the banking there, so we'll be lapping him pretty soon. Looks like these are all GT cars coming by. So we're still in the lead. We are still in the lead. And we still have slightly worn tires, but we don't want to do the Jeff Gordon thing and hit the wall here. That's the thing that Lee Diffie always talks about on the Rolex 24 broadcast, or at least when he used to be there. He's like, a driver of the caliber of Jeff Gordon hit that once. I'm just like, yes, that did happen. He hit that wall. But, you know, Jeff Gordon drove a sports car like twice in his life. I mean, I don't blame him for hitting the wall. Don't get me wrong. I'd probably do the same thing in his position, but acting like it was some shock that he went out and hit the wall, you know, coming out of the pits in a prototype. which was at that point the first time he'd ever driven a sports prototype, don't necessarily blame him. But it wasn't a shock that he hit the wall coming out of the pits. Anyway, we are now in the middle of the GTLM category. And it's saying the fuel load is fully loaded. So I don't know what I did, but I guess I loaded the fuel up. Well, I guess we won't have to worry about, you know, running out of fuel anytime soon. And the day is breaking here at Daytona. Coming up behind this dang-on Turner Motorsports BMW. This time we're going to pass him to the inside. And he was very cordial. Thank you. Appreciate that. Look at the tire buildup, or the rubber buildup underneath the rear wing. Cool detail. Appreciate that. I do want to lap that Ferrari GTLM car. So hopefully we can do that before the end of the race. So cross the line here. Down to second gear. Give the grass a little bit of a clip there, no problem. Not sure if this is a GTD car or GTLM car. We're going to find out shortly. So we work off of the hairpin. Through the gears, down the back straightaway. Fifth gear. Whoops, a little too much of a... I turned in a little too late there and the car kind of decided I shouldn't do that. I think this is actually a Porsche. My God, we've barely seen any Porsches this whole time, despite the fact that Porsche is one of the most important... No, it's not a Porsche. Never mind. We're not seeing a Porsche. That's a GTE Aston Martin. Good job, David. Good job on the car ID there. I'm sure all the Porsche fans are quite pleased with your apparent lack of vision. And I don't know if I'm going to catch the... I'm going to catch him in the bus stop. Gall darn it. Gall darn it. Well, we're just going to... Yeah, because I'm not going to try to outbrake him. This is the conservative driving that wins you endurance races. Which way are you going? Which way are you going? Get out of the way! I've got a race to win! And now you're going to see the speed of that GTE car. Remember, when I was in a GTE car, I was able to pass some of the GT car, or the prototypes on the straight, but that Aston Martin doesn't quite have the straight line speed advantage that I have. So I think we'll pull away from him. Thank God. And daybreak is upon us. God almighty, sometimes this game is so beautiful. And I'm on Xbox One, which is like bottom of the barrel graphics. Look at that sunset, or sunrise. Can you tell I've been in an endurance race? David loves some sunrise. Especially because I know my car is going to work a little bit better now that the sun is out. Warm my tires up a bit. Get it on, get it going. Out onto the banking. This should be the Ferrari up here, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, I've been mistaken before. Several times, in fact, during this exact video, actually. Down the back straightaway, still in kind of the dusk or the dawn phase of the sunrise. Yep, that's the Ferrari, the AF Corsa car, WEC car. Probably wouldn't be here at Daytona, even though I know AF Corsa entered Daytona 2015, 2016, something like that. It was cool when they entered. Wish they'd do it again, because they're probably the top Ferrari GT team in the world. Sorry, Reese, I love you, but you're not AF Corsa. Down into second gear. Really seeing that sunrise quite a bit. Car's sliding out just a little bit. But we're starting to really get that heat in the tires, so it's all good. Down into second gear. Probably could be in first here, but no reason to really try to set any lap records here. Hello, Mr. Ferrari. Where are you going to let me by? I guess I do know, since I've driven that Ferrari, where his weaknesses are. His weaknesses are on the banking, so I may just sit back here and wait till we get to the banking. Go down 2 gears, just get it nice and easy right down there. Car almost stepped out on me. And that would have been problems. So now onto the banking we go. Through NASCAR 1 and NASCAR 2, around the outside of the Ferrari. I'll wave at him even though we don't have a webcam set up for this race. I promise you I've lifted my hand up off the steering wheel. Didn't even go into 3rd gear that time. Again, just kind of conserving the car. Like you would in an endurance race. I wonder what my lead's like. Let's take a look. 19 seconds. So we've got 19 seconds. That's pretty good. Pretty good. I guess I made the right strategy of keeping the car out. The car exiting the pits there. That's another prototype. Don't tell me the prototypes are making 2 stops. That would be ridiculous. But it's certainly possible that they are. So we bring it down. Oh no, we've got the Mercedes. Oh no, the Mercedes. I don't like the Mercedes when I'm driving. Well, this guy gave me trouble, and we're coming up to the banking. The place where he gave me trouble the last time. That's confidence instilling. Makes me feel good about myself. Bring it down here in the 2nd gear. Just drive it nice and conservatively onto the banking. See if we can pull around it. Up to 5th. And you can kind of see the GT3 car doesn't quite get past as easily as you kind of think a prototype would be able to pass a GT car. He definitely has some legs on the straightaway. There's no doubt about it. We're actually coming up behind the Renault, which actually, if I'm not mistaken, was actually behind the Mercedes at one point in the night, but he is now ahead. That's the other thing that's fun about this kind of endurance racing. You kind of keep track of where the lower classes are in relation to when you're passing them. Kind of fun to do. So we cross the line. Still no update. How many laps or how many minutes we have to go here. I assume we're getting pretty close. Just let you listen to that Judd engine just for a little while there. Got another car coming up there. Probably just exiting onto the banking now, so probably we'll be lapping him in the next couple of laps as well. Not sure if it was a prototype or a GT car. On the throttle. Back out onto the banking. Sun's definitely starting to come up, so we're definitely getting close to what I would assume is the end of the race. Of course, last time we checked, it was 20 minutes to go. So you would assume that we're going to be getting around that time. Gear, Crypto's apex curbs, a little bit bad there. Not gonna lie. Definitely driving a bit more conservatively now, especially now that I know I can make it on fuel. Unless this is a 2-hour race, in which case I probably can't make it on fuel. But yeah, no. Down through the tri-oval once again, crossing the line. A little too late on the brakes that time, if I may be honest with you. A little too outside as well. Yeah, that was a sloppy set of corners from yours truly. There was wasn't sure. I caught out of the corner of my eye a car, a red car. Couldn't tell if it was a prototype or if it was the Ferrari. Possible it was the Ferrari, but I do know there was a red colored prototype in this race. And I think that may have been the car that was in the pits, that was coming out of the pits when I was like, whoa, another prototype. So I guess one of the prototypes ended up making 2 stops. He must have stopped real early on in the race to not be able to make it on 1 stop. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Come down the back straightaway once again. Like I said, this is such a nice car to drive. Such a nice car to drive.
7 minutes remaining.
There you go, 7 minutes to go. So I don't need to check it. I know what I've got. So, 7 minutes. Going to be about 5 to 6 laps remaining in the race, depending on how quickly I get her done here. And of course, since it's an endurance race, you can do that cheeky thing where you kind of time it so on the last lap you cross the line with 0, 0, 0 remaining and you don't have to go around for another lap. Might end up doing that, might not. We'll see. Obviously I have a big enough lead because the engineer has not been yelling in my ear about having to push, push, push. We have another GT car coming up and then possibly a prototype. We probably won't get to the prototype in the next few laps. We'll definitely get to that GT car. This is one of those times I wish the Xbox One could handle a few more cars other than just 15. Because I couldn't. This would have been insane with 31 cars. You know, yeah, 12 prototypes. You know, and the rest of the field GT. You know, 20 GT cars. Man, this would have been very chaotic. But hey, maybe I'll get an Xbox One X one of these days, and we'll revisit this. Or for Le Mans, we'll be able to run a big race. The thing about Le Mans, though, is that on an 8-mile track, 31 cars quickly kind of becomes the track density of 15. So, we'll see. So I'm seeing that GT car coming through the tri-oval now. We should be getting regular updates as well from the race engineer on our progress coming to the checkers. I guess we'd get updates like 5 minutes to go, and 4 minutes, and 3 minutes, and 2, 1, all that stuff. So we'll end up seeing where we kind of shake out with the time and where we are on the track in case we can fudge it. And try to not have to do any extra laps. I think this is a Ford GT up here. Oh, it's the factory one. Factory Ford GT.
Traffic up ahead. Just the back marker. Stay sharp and take it.
Yep, 10-4. Just the back marker. I believe that may be the class leading Ford GT. I do know the yellow Ford GT qualified in pole, and I didn't hear what time we have to go. Smart move, David. You were talking earlier, race engineer. Let's get past this Ford GT, shall we? He's going to block me to the inside, so we'll go to the outside. Sure, why not? We're almost making a little bit of contact there. That wouldn't have been good. That would have been a very bad thing. And the GT is going to get a big draft behind me, meaning he's probably going to try to outbrake me here into turn 1. Let's not get taken out by a GT car, David. He was respectful. He was back there, but he was respectful. Now coming up behind the caddy, which I feel like I've lapped about 100 times in this race. He's definitely the back marker of the back markers.
3 minutes remaining.
3 minutes, so 2 laps. thereabouts. I don't think I can fudge this lap to be 3 minutes. There's that space between the Cadillac and myself. And you just see how much rubber buildup now is on the wing, even more than there was before. Oh, a little bit of wonky G920, deciding I don't want to turn on the banking anymore, despite the fact that it's done it all day. The end of these endurance races always gets a little wonky with the force feedback. I'm not sure why. Beats the heck out of my brain. Is that 2 minutes remaining? Alright, well, yeah, 2 minutes remaining. We're going to be able to do about one more lap. I'll take a look at that again before we get to the line to see if I can fudge it a little bit. I'll definitely be a bit conservative on this lap. Just try to milk it all the way to the end. There's a Ford GT up there. Which now I believe this is the class-leading GTE car. I guess it would be class-leading GT2. It would be leading both of the GT classes. But that is the top. How about the top overall GT car? Would that be a PC thing to say? Sure, why not? All right. Hopefully this is the last lap. We got 1 minute. I'm guessing the oval lap won't take a minute. Let's see. We've got 23 seconds in hand over the second place car. 40 seconds remaining on the clock. We're hanging behind the Ford GT. No reason to really pass him. 27 seconds to go. I'm not crossing the line with 1 to go, but I think we're going to make it without having to do another lap. As we come out of turn number 4 on the oval, I think this should be it. We're going to be a jerk to this Ford GT and lap him before the end. This is the final lap of the race. We'll come across the line and take victory in the Rolex 24, or the Rolex 1, I guess you could say. That was an exciting race. A lot of fun. So P1, fastest lap was a 1:39.7. The Honda-powered Ligier actually finished in the second spot. So my suspicion about the Nissan-powered Ligier having some trouble in traffic is possibly actually correct. He actually set the fastest lap of the race at a 39.2, but it's all for naught for him. GT winner was actually the Ford factory car over the AF Corsa Ferrari. So I did lap the class leader. For whatever reason, that yellow GT was not the class leader. He was getting lapped by the yellow GT. And then the Turner Motorsports BMW takes victory in GTD. So you've got real life cars winning all the classes. In fact, the yellow GT sitting in 15th place overall and last in the GT class. So that was my 1 hour simulation of the Rolex 24. Wow. Well, I've finally done an endurance race. You guys can finally stop asking me in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was thrilling for me. I was very happy to finally get one of these done. And it definitely makes you appreciate when you've done one of these, even just an hour, how much effort and time and preparation goes into a 24-hour endurance race. So thank you guys so much for watching. This has been David Land on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe for more motorsport and Project Cars 2 content. We'll see you in the next video.